Hey guys, welcome back to Cruise Casino Mafia's YouTube channel. If this is the first time you guys are here, I hope you like and subscribe to the channel. This is our free version of systems, methodology, and all kinds of stuff to try to help you on your next cruise or your next Vegas or casino visit. We do Baccarat, we do roulette, we do craps. Sometimes we even talk about blackjack, but that's just once in a blue moon. The topics and discussions can range from system concepts, bet selection, my favorite, which I believe is the most important of anything, which is money management, and obviously an overall game plan, which is if you want to take it seriously and not just be a weekend warrior, how you can turn the casino into an every month type of paycheck vehicle. So today we're going to be back on Baccarat. I think the last few videos we did were more roulette based and we go back and forth. Today we're going to talk about a new Baccarat bet selection. It's something that I've used quite a while ago and revisited recently, and it's done quite well. So this is really great because it's not complicated. If you don't like to record or use a scorecard, you don't have to. This is something you can do without a scorecard. I use a scorecard for everything because it just makes the whole experience to me more interesting and fun to do the recording. It's almost like being at a baseball game and keeping the scorebook. Well, that's the way I feel about Baccarat. So let me show you this. It's fun, and it does really well when combined with a good money management. So I think we're going to do this in two parts. I was going to do one video and introduce this bet selection and also do a brand new money management on top of it and do a demo. But that's probably too much. So we'll make this a part one. I'm just going to show you guys the bet selection. And then either later on today or tomorrow, I'll record a video with the brand new money management. Discuss that. It's pretty interesting. And maybe we'll play this same bet selection for that money management video. So let's go ahead and do this. So it doesn't matter what we're going to bet. So we'll just use $100. We'll use $100. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just deal. Let me make sure we have this set. And this is a really cool bet selection because it's a little bit different than anything I've shown on this channel. So let's go ahead and deal. Okay. So now if we look at the main score, this is not a bead road situation. We're just going to use the regular scoreboard. We do have a brand new bead road system, private system, that was just released in the Casino Vault for members. If you haven't seen it yet, if you're a member, you're going to want to check it out. It's called Baccarat Slow Millions, and it's worked really well. But this is back to the regular scoreboard. So here's the interesting thing that is very unique to this bet selection. So normally when you use the normal scoreboard, we're looking across, right? We're normally looking across. And with this bet selection, we're going to actually be looking at this almost like rows, okay, like a row. And depending on what row we're on is going to be dependent on what we're going to be betting on. So this is very unique. So I can tell you this: step one in this system is that when you only have a single, okay, which means you're only on row one. All right, so you got to train your brain to look at this a little differently than we're used to. So when we only have a row one, we're always going to look at this as if a chop was going to take place. Okay, so we're going to bet for the chop always when we only have a single decision prior to what we're now doing. So we're on row one. We had a bank, so we're going to bet for a player. Okay, when we have a row one prior decision. So we're going to go back and we're going to bet for a player. Okay, and we'll just do $100 bets just so it's easy to take a look at the math. And we're not going to, don't worry about the bet, the money management whatsoever for this video. So we're betting on player. and we lose. Okay, so let's go back. So now you see that we're going down, right? So now we're on row 2. Remember, we're looking at this as rows. So when we have a row 2, it signals for us in this bet selection that we are not going to make a bet. So when we have a row 2, we're not going to make a bet. So we're just going to deal the cards and see what happens. Okay, we had a player. All right, so we bounce back to row 1. And remember the step 1 rule. When you're on row 1, you're always going to bet for the chop. So now we're going to bet for the banker. Okay, we're going to bet for the banker. So we're going to bet for the banker. And we lose. Okay, so obviously this is terrible twos, but for this bet selection, it really doesn't matter. I'm just trying to show you the rules. So once again, when we're on row 2, we are not going to place a bet. All right, so let's go ahead and deal. That's a tie, doesn't matter. And now we have a banker. All right, so we're back to the chops again. We're at row 1. So once again, in this bet selection, we'd be betting for what? A player. Okay, so it'd be betting for a player. Okay, and we won. Well, we know with this bet selection, we're now going to be betting for what? A banker. Because we're on row 1, so we're always going to bet for the chop. Okay, everybody understands that step? So we're going to bet for banker. Okay, and we won again, which means obviously we're still on row 1, so we're going to now bet for the player. And we lose. So we know we're 2 down, so we're not going to take a bet because we don't bet on the second row. We don't bet after it hits the second row. And you'll see the rest of the rules here as we go along. So we have a banker. Now we have 3. Okay? So when you come down to the 3rd row, right, the 3rd row, we're going to bet once again that it's not going to go further. Okay, and you'll see how this works out. And the reason for this is, and let me give you a little bit of analysis on this. It's not that complicated. So if you go to Google and you put in Baccarat scoreboards, you're going to see that most of the time we do not get to the beyond the 3rd row. Now, I'm not telling you that we don't have long streaks and long sticks here. What I'm saying to you is that the majority of the rows do not come down below this. Okay, you'll see 1 or 2 in every shoe. Sometimes you have a very heavy shoe where it is sticky and you do see streaks, but the majority of shoes end right about here. And then we go back into it 1s and 1s and 2s and 1s and 2s and maybe another 3. So we're betting here with the statistics that the streak is not going to last. Okay, so we bet for the chop on row 1, we don't bet on row 2, and on the 3rd one, we're betting again that it's going to chop back or hop back up to number 1. So we're betting against the streak with this bet selection. We're getting a bet against the streak on row 3. So this is going to be a player bet. All right, so we're going to make a player bet. And we lose. So now what happened? So it actually continued. So now what we're going to do is we are going to bet that the streak continues at this point. We are going to bet that the streak continues. So now we switch. We're now at 4, right? We're now at 4. So we are going to continue to bet until we lose that the streak will continue. So we're switching now. So it's very similar to a system I used to use called SOS. Same, opposite, same, right? So with this, we now are in row 4. We have 4 decisions. We're going to now jump to the S side, to the same side. And we're now going to bet for the banker. Okay? Bet for the banker. And we win. Okay? Now we're going to bet for the banker again. And we win. So you see how we switch sides and we're catching the streak now? Okay, we're going to continue to bet for the banker. Now, I can tell you this. You can follow the whole streak, right? Or you can wait. If you want to play a conservative, we know that the L doesn't normally happen, that the L doesn't happen that often. So you can continue to follow the streak until it chops back up. So let's just do that for argument's sake and bet with the streak. All right? So here we go. So we're going to bet, what was that? Banker. Okay. We're going to bet with the banker. And we won. So we're going to bet with the banker again. And we won. Okay, wow, that's pretty interesting. Look at that. So let's just keep following it. Okay, it finally bounced back. And here we are once again back at our row number 1. So you understand this system is very different than almost anything that anybody's showing because we have a preset pattern, right? But our preset pattern is not telling us banker or player. Our preset pattern of rules is based on what row we're on the scoreboard. So we're back to row number 1 and we know we're betting for the chop. So now we're going to bet for a return to banker. So let's go ahead and do that again. Let's see if the chop continues. And the chop does continue. So we know we're going to bet for player next, right? Okay, it broke back down. And now we know that we're never betting on row number 2, right? We're never betting on row number 2, so we're just going to deal the cards. And we have another banker. So now we now bet against the streak continuing, and we're going to bet for a player, right? Once we have 3 out, we're going to bet the opposite. We're going to bet that we're going to return to the chop, right? So we're going to bet for a player. And it continues. And just like before, it's doing the same thing. So now we're going to switch sides after 4 of them are out, right? We're on line 5. We're on line 5 now. So on line 5, we switch sides and we're now going to be betting with the streak to continue. So we're going to be betting for a banker. It's a tie. We repeat. And we win. And as you know, we're going to continue again. We're going to bet for it. Wow, that's very unusual to see that. Look at that. So we're going to bet. We can either stop here and wait for the chop, or we can continue to bet the streak. We'll just bet the streak. So we're going to continue to bet for another banker at this point. And it chops back. Okay, so here we are again. So the demo continues. We don't care about the money because we're not doing any kind of progression whatsoever. So we're now on row 1 again, and we're going to bet for the chop, for the hopping back over to the banker again. So now we're going to bet for a banker again. And there we go. And of course, we're still on row 1. Now we're going to bet for the player. So I hope everybody understands how easy this bet selection is. It's a tie. We're going to repeat. We're going to deal. 2 ties in a row. And we win. Okay, we're up $160 just flat betting, by the way, guys. So you're up right now a little over 1 unit right now flat betting. It doesn't matter. I'm just pointing it out. So look what's happening here. We're still on row 1. So this SOS style bet selection tells us to continue to bet for the chop when you're on row 1. So now we're back to betting for banker. See how easy this is? You don't even need a scorecard. There we go. And now we're up 2.5 units on flat betting. Okay, let's do it again. Now we're going to bet for a player. Okay. And it finally got to row number 2. Row number 2, we know we're never going to bet, so we're just going to deal. And we have another banker. This has been a streak-heavy shoe, huh? Look at this. Especially Banker. Banker has had 20 results. Player has had 6. So this is a very, at least so far, this is a very Banker-heavy shoe. So now that it's made 3, we know what we're going to do. Even though it has not worked here, normally it will. Statistically it will, more than not. We're still going to do our exact rule, which is when you have 3 down, we're going to bet for the chop. So we're now going to be betting, since there's 3 down, the 4th one, we're on row 4, we're always going to be betting for the chop. So we're going to be betting on player. And we win. Hey, see, it works. Okay. So now we're back to row 1, and we're now betting for the chop. We're betting Banker. It's a tie. Player wins. So on the 2nd row, we know we're not going to be betting. And it's a Banker win. So it did chop back up. So now we're going to be betting, since we're back on row 1, we're going to be betting for player. And we win. And of course we know we're still on row 1, so we're going to be betting for the chop, betting on Banker. And let me tell you something. You guys have, if you've watched my myth-busting videos from a few weeks ago, I've shown you multiple different bet selections. I was just in Vegas playing multiple different bet selections. And here's the deal. Just like I said weeks ago, you need to find what you like. Am I going to tell you that there's a holy grail bet selection that's better than anything else, that some algorithm is telling us that it is light years ahead of a different bet selection? I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that there's multiple bet selections, that you need to do your own due diligence and determine what feels good to you. Because every bet selection has a good point and a bad point, right? Every bet selection. What I'm showing you today has worked really, really well over time. It is not complicated. You don't need apps and spreadsheets and all kinds of convoluted, wacky math and crystal balls. This is a simple rule-based bet selection. You need nothing to do this. And I guarantee you that this bet selection, over 1,000 shoes, if you did a computer simulation, would do absolutely just as well as any of those holy grail bet selections. So it's up to you. I'm showing you an alternative bet selection that works really well. So here we are. We're up 3.5 units flat betting. Flat, yes, you heard me, flat betting without any money progression whatsoever. So let's just continue so you guys see a little bit more of the demo before we call it quits. So what are we betting on here? We're on row 1. We're betting for the chop, so we're now betting back on player, right? Back on player. We lose. What does that mean? We're now on row 2. That is a no bet. We get back to the chop, and we're on row 1, so we're gonna be betting for the Banker. And we win. And we're back up a little over 3 units once again. And we're still on row 1, so we're betting for player. Interesting that we're not using any money management. You guys are always asking, is there anything that works on flat betting? Yes, there's plenty of things that work on flat betting if you have the patience. The problem is most people have a very short-term attitude. So it's not that nothing works flat betting. It's just that you have to have a lot more patience. Okay, so we're up 4 units right now. You could quit the shoe. I would be quitting the shoe right now. If you're playing for higher chip units or a higher base bet, you don't need more than 4 or 5 units per shoe. So I would be done, especially flat betting and up 4 units here. If I was betting $100 units, I'd made my $400 and I'd be out of here. I'd wait for another session later on in the day, or take a break, go get a cup of coffee or tea, and then figure out what I want to do next. But let's just continue. So here we go. So we're betting for the chop because we're on row 1. We're going to bet Banker. All right, we're up 5 units now. Look at that. And notice that this was a sticky, streaky scenario here. But after this happened, what happened? All chops, we waited, right? We waited here, we made our bet, and what happened? We chopped back, right? We lost. It went to 2. We didn't make a bet. We went back. We continue to go for the chop on row 1. So now we'd be betting player again. So let's just do a few more of these and we'll call it. All right. That's a banker. Again, you got a 2. We do not bet on the row 2. We have a player. We're back to the chop. We're betting on banker. And we win. And we're back to 5 units again, right? All right, I'll do 2 more and then we'll call it quits. So next one, we're still on row 1. We're going to be betting for player. I hope you guys like this. It's a really easy bet selection. There you go. And now we're up 6 units flat betting. Okay, so I think we're going to call it there. The video is about 20 minutes. I think you guys get it. Let's go over the rules one more time. Okay, one more time. So I wait for the first one to come out, right? Because you have to know what you're doing, right? And obviously the first one that comes out, you're always betting for the chop because you're on row 1. So you're always going to bet opposite. You're never betting when there's 2 results out, right? When you're on row 2, you're gonna do a no bet. When you're on row 3 like this, you're betting against this happening, right? You're betting for it to chop back up and hop back up here, which is exactly what happened. You're betting for the opposite, right? And that's what happened. We would have won that bet, all right? So when it gets beyond the 3, and it does imprint the 4th one, the 4th row, something on the 4th, now you're going back to the S in the SOS, which means same. So now you're going to bet for it to continue. You can do this either way. If you want to do it conservatively, you can bet for the continue once and then wait for the chop back over, or you can follow it all the way like we did here and just continue to bet for the same, for the L to occur, right? And then when it finally bounces back over, you're back on a chop scenario. So you can play that any way you want. There's flexibility here, okay? But those are the rules. Second, obviously, as I always say, money management is always key. So if you're able to hit them quickly for 4 to 5 units, you should be done. Now, I'm not telling you have to quit the shoe. If you're playing $5 units and you want to play it all the way out, you can certainly play it all the way out. If you're flat betting, you can play it all the way out. If you're doing a mild progression, that's up to you. But what I normally do with this scenario is I increase my bankroll. As I grow my bankroll, I'm increasing my base unit. And that's what we're teaching at CruzCasinoMafia.com to our private members. So we don't need to play the whole shoe. We don't need to play for hours. If you can grow your bankroll from a base unit of $5 to 25 or 50 or 100 or more, you really don't need to play. The whole point is not to play a full shoe, right? The whole point is to make 4, 5, 6 units a day or per session or whatever you want to do. So in this scenario, we would have been gone like right around here. I think we would have been done. I mean, we're only on hand 45 now. And I think we would have been done by hand 20, and we're just flat betting. Okay, we're simply flat betting. So here's your flat betting scenario. Everybody's always asking for that. Here it is. On the next video, I'm going to teach you another money management. And it's different than a lot of the ones that I've been showing on this channel for free. You guys know I like very conservative, very simple bet progressions that are not massive martingales. Well, I'm going to show you something that's kind of an in-between, but it does sway a little bit more to the aggressive side. Not as aggressive as a straight martingale, but you know, a lot of people may want me to do a little bit more aggressive. So, or show you something that's in between. And that's what I'm going to show you on the next video. A money management that I've been introduced to that's not as grindy as the stuff that I normally use, but it certainly does have a little less, it's a little less steep than your average martingale progression, and it has some very interesting nuances. So I will be making another video real quickly to back this one up, and I hope you guys like what I call the SOS bet selection. Have a good time with it. Go ahead and test it out. It's a lot of fun. It's so easy to learn, and you can create your own flexibility within the rules. Take it easy. We'll see you on the next video. And if I don't hear from you guys or you don't see me till Thanksgiving, possibly, then have a great Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.